Do you like comic books, video games, movies, and television? Are you way more interested in fictional superheroes than actual human beings or real life? Do you like listening to people discuss these topics for roughly an hour or two at a time?
Well, if you liked when this asshole did it alone, you're gonna love me.
This is the intro to our podcast, ain't it? What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Bat in the Hat podcast, where we dive deep into all things nerd. My name, of course, is Arthur Fleck, and with me, as always, is Matt. Just Matt. What's up, Matt?
What is up, everybody? This is my version of the intro. I'm just gonna say it from here. My name is Jack Napier, and with me, as always, is Arthur Fleck.
Are you trying to steal my thunder, Matt?
I always had the thunder.
The intro is kind of like my shtick. Are you
I'm
trying
not
to
trying
challenge
to be
me
rude.
for,
I
like,
just
the
think
throne?
that if I do it, it would be way better.
Oh, wow. Well, you know what? Maybe we'll let the folks at home vote on that one. Folks, if you think that Matt should do the intro from now on, you know what? We're going to put a fucking poll up. Who should do the intro? And I'm going to let you guys vote for me.
Look, if you need this, like, to feel okay,
yeah,
I'm going to win.
Yeah, I have very low self-esteem, and I need every bit of one-upsmanship that I can get.
Well, if it's any consolation, you're extremely ugly. But I'm really excited about this show today.
Yeah, I am too, man. It's gonna be cool. So, just to kind of, before we get into the news, get you guys caught up. This show itself is ever evolving, and me and Matt have spent a lot of time writing and a lot of time planning, and what we've decided on is a kind of like a new show flow, a new structure for the show flow. Show flow, faux show, shouty.
Oh, that was tight though.
That was hip hop, you know.
That rhymed too.
So what we're gonna do from now on is we're gonna get into the news, because everybody knows that's my favorite part. And then Matt is gonna start being our review segment, kind of like the sports announcers, except we're nerds, so we don't really want to talk about sports on this. He's gonna be our review segment, and then we're gonna wrap up the show talking about comics. You know, we don't get into enough comic book
the source material.
We don't have the actual source material, and it's super important. You know, I've kind of been on a one-man crusade. I don't know how many of you guys follow me on our Mythical Mountain Facebook pages that I do for our shop, but I've been making a lot of videos for them, and kind of for us, and having fun with it. But I've been lately really into talking about supporting local business, supporting local comic shops, and supporting the artists and writers who make this stuff happen, so that we can have these wonderful movies. Because, guys, I think it's great that you guys love the movies, and you have a lot of opinions on the MCU and the DCEU and the stuff that's coming out, both animated and live action. That's awesome. But if we don't get as many people as we can interested in the source material, in the comic books, even the new stuff, no matter how stuck up you are about it was better back before the Crisis on Infinite, shut up. The point is,
wow.
The point is that we really want to bring more attention to the books themselves, because when that dies, when that stops being a thing, and the superhero trend in pop culture, in the movies and TV, when that ends, then soon it could be a distant memory, which is so terrifying to think about. Plus, a lot of great businesses go out of business because they need our support now more than ever. So we're going to start having a weekly poll, where I'm going to start telling you guys at the end of the show what to look out for coming out this week. Big books and really exciting stuff happening in the world of comics. Matt, I'm really excited about your side of it now.
Yeah, I was gonna say, to piggyback on what you were just saying there. So essentially, guys and gals, look, we both read comics.
Are there any women listening out there?
I hope so. And please,
I hope it's just not us and 500 virgins.
Text
listening.
back. Just text back. At this point, it's just rude.
Stop leaving me on red.
But
Gosh.
guys, we kind of were discussing it. Like I said, we both read comics. I absolutely read comics. But my co-host and friend here, he's the comic guy. Like, I will always say he's the comic guy.
I read probably 20 to 25 titles a week.
Yeah.
Not to like that weird flex, but I just really like keeping up with what's going on.
And on the flip side to that coin, I try to see as many movies as I possibly can, like new releases. I go to the Thursday night premieres. I go multiple times.
And honestly, I don't know how you do it. And that's, I think you and me were talking about that the other day, right? Like,
Yeah.
I could
Dude,
not go to the theater that many times.
dude, I just love film. Like, I love movies. Like, I know that sounds like so, stereotypical and broad, but like, I love movies. I like to overanalyze movies. I like to watch them multiple times. Find
I
different
enjoy
things.
cinema.
I was gonna say cinema, and then I knew you would do that. So it looks like I didn't help myself at all. So, but yeah, so I wouldn't necessarily say we're gonna divide it up via our strengths, because I don't think that's a fair way to say it. I think we're just dividing
think
it
that's
up
exactly
based
what we're
on what
doing.
we really, really enjoy specifically, and I'm looking forward to it. So yeah, what I'll try to do for my segment, and it's not like we're gonna like branch off and it's just gonna be one of us at a time. I mean, we're still gonna both be talking to each other.
Oh
but-
yeah. The guys, the main point of this is, and we probably don't even need to explain it this much, but the point is that Matt does an incredible job. Not only I was gonna say does an incredible job seeing these movies, but
You're really good at seeing
it
these
takes
movies.
a lot of skill to go to the movies this much. No, but he really does get into movies and some other aspects, TV shows, pop culture, and stuff like that I just don't care to dive into as much. Not that I don't love movies, I just don't like. If I'm being honest, I don't like going to the movie theaters at all. So I wait for things to come out and then I enjoy them.
The
in
recliners and reserved seating were a game changer
Yes.
for me. That's why I go
And
so
I'll
much.
tell you, the seats that you showed me in the Dolby Cinema, those are pretty great. So, it's still just not my bag. Matt loves going to the theaters all the time, and I love reading comics. And I know that there is, that is a combined 100% of our audience. You
Yeah.
guys either really love movies and other facets of pop culture, or you love comics, and we're going to start bringing it to you. We're both going to be involved in the segments. However, it is going to be led by Matt or I.
If you don't like either one of those things, like honestly, you should probably hit pause and like find a different.
I met somebody.
podcast.
I met somebody the other day, and they said, "I don't like music," and I said, "What the fuck does that mean? You don't like?" Like, it's one of those things.
It just irritates me, the sound.
It's one of those things that you just can't understand.
It's like, do you not like metal? Like, like I would have hit him with like, you'd have been like, I don't like music, and my instant knee jerk reaction, I would just say, explain.
I
Like
would
in
have
a
just
very
been like,
aggressive
"Yeah,
tone.
I guess music nowadays is kind of no. I don't like music at all. What do you mean you don't like music?
Like you don't like classical?
How do you
or-
have a rhythm? But it's kind of the same thing for us, right? Like, if in our worlds, for sure, there's people outside of our pop culture realms. But if you don't like movies and TV shows and comics, at least character wise, one, what are you doing listening to the show? Two, how
I'll take it back though. If you
What
want to, if you
joy.
want to still listen, absolutely do.
No, you know what? I disagree. Get off my podcast.
And do it like all day, every day while you're at it. Yeah, multiple times.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be a lot of fun. I really can't wait because one of the other things, Matt, and I don't want to get too gushy on you, but when you're explaining to me and kind of giving me reviews of the movies you've seen, you seem to really look into. Like, I watch a movie, I just watch the movie. I'll take it at face value.
Yeah.
I think you analyze it a little more in a good way. You kind of can see the themes. And
try.
when you start talking about I was like, holy shit, that sounds like a great movie. Like, in a way that I probably wouldn't have cared about it nearly as much just watching the trailer or something. That being said, Mark Bernardin has the same effect on me. He does the same thing.
Yeah.
But I just listened to his Joker review the other day, and it really pissed me off. By the way, guys, if we haven't said it before today, Matt is reviewing the Joker film.
Yeah.
We
So
just
and
saw
I'm
it.
going whole ham. It's been like 2 weeks.
Yes,
So
I put the ad
I'm
out.
spilling
and
it all.
It's going to be in the title of this episode. Major spoilers ahead, but
One thing I do want to say real quick, and I appreciate everything you just said. That's actually very flattering. Thank you. But my goal, I've actually said this to you before, and I don't want this to come off a certain way, but it kind of is what it is.
Right.
My goal of like trying to do these reviews is the way I've always seen it is I want to do like just regular reviews for regular people. Does that make sense? Like, because sometimes you read these reviews and they're like, well, if you didn't notice the underlying cryptic undertones,
Right.
you won't get the full.
But I think it's important to be able to.
bamboozlement.
I think it's important to be able to look at a movie and like watch The Sandlot, right? And just be like, kids played baseball. Then there was a big dog. The end. You know what I mean?
Why did
like,
you go redneck?
Huh? I don't. It just felt kind of red.
It
That was like
it worked.
it was set in the Midwest too, wasn't it? So
yeah.
Kids
There was
play
a dog.
baseball.
I know there was a
I don't know
dog.
how to
do
do
they
that.
have dogs in the Midwest? Where is the Midwest?
I don't. They have dogs in the middle. Do they have dogs in the Midwest?
Is that like,
Yeah.
Is that like Idaho?
You know
Idaho
what's
is a
weird?
real thing, right?
I don't know what is considered the Midwest. I'm pretty sure Wisconsin.
And that's where Brett Favre is from.
Sure, I think.
No, I think he's from Louisiana, actually.
But I don't know where he's from. He played. Sure, he played.
He's
whatever.
got the weirdest name. It doesn't even obey language. You say Favre, but
Oh,
it's spelled
Favre?
Favre.
Yeah.
There's no rule in any language, I don't think, where that makes sense.
The,
Somebody just said it wrong one day, and they're like, "Oh, that sounds cool."
But you know what I mean? You can't just watch a movie and just be like, this is what it was about. I think, now my problem is just like you said, the people who get so in depth with it, Mark Bernard, I was just watching his Joker review, and he gave it, first of all, a B-, which we'll talk once we get to the review. I wholly disagree. But he started pointing out these things that I'm like, dude, I respect you. I know you're a writer and you're a very good one, and probably somebody who writes that much and has written TV and written films and written stuff. Your brain probably starts to be wired differently.
Right.
But I was sitting the whole time I'm listening to this, like, no fucking person in America is picking up on these themes that you're talking about. And you're really not, at that point, you're not the person to do these reviews. Like, everybody can give their opinion and review and stuff. But when you're the face of the what do they call it? The Fat Man Beyond is what they call him now. Mm-hmm. When you're the face, because Kevin Smith is doing other things, and you're the face of Fat Man Beyond for that for that segment, like, you're not I'm sorry, you're not, because your brain is wired differently than 99.99% of the audience you're talking to.
And I don't like reviews where, like, you can tell, hell, like, from the title, where the person's like, I hate this movie, and I'm going to tell you why you're going to have to hate it too. It's like, okay, just review the movie. It's okay to not like it.
Right.
But to sit there and have your monologue about how it offended you because, I'm just like, dude, just review the movie.
That's also the problem I have with some of these clickbaity titles. I know clickbait is pretty much the game now on social media, and like the comic book websites and the places that do these articles and stuff. The titles very rarely actually correspond with what the article is going to be about.
Yeah,
but
they just try to piss you off.
yeah, they'll start it with being like, the Joker fucking sucked, and here's why. And it's like,
oh, actually,
like,
on second thought, it wasn't that bad.
yeah, it's like, well, first of all, but that's why we're in this age now of, and we haven't even got to the news yet. I apologize, guys, but that's why we
let's
got
do
to
that.
this age now of people sharing articles on Facebook and on social media without actually reading they read the headline, and it's like so infuriating, but they didn't read the article.
They didn't read the source material. I'm not going to drop that anytime soon. I'm probably going to have to just talk about it later.
Fuck, that's funny. But you know what I mean? People are sharing, and we always make fun of like boomers and older people for doing that, but it really is just everyone. You're so fast to share an article that you think you agree or disagree with, and then you get into the article and it's not what you thought it was. It's not it's a clickbait. And that's why, like, when those April Fool's articles come out and people start sharing the Obama said the end of the world is next month, and you go in, it's like April Fool's, but you shared it like an idiot.
And youusually when people do that too, they like go off on like this like rant.
Yeah,
like
you got a whole paragraph in your status about it.
and then the warrior in the comment section is just like, okay, you're dumb.
Right. Oh my gosh, it's ridiculous. But Matt, are you ready to talk about some news?
Yeah, let's do it.
So we got a whole lot of news this week about The Batman, Matt Reeves' The Batman, starring Robert Pattinson, which, guys, I haven't changed my mind. I'm still really excited about. Matt is coming around, but I don't think he's coming around.
I haven't changed my mind either.
I know, but he's coming around. I don't think he's coming nearly as fast as I'd like him to. That sounded weirder than I meant it, but he's slowly getting there. So the first thing in news I want to talk about is there's two kind of big fish in this arena, and one of them is Zoe Kravitz, the daughter of legendary musician Lenny Kravitz,
and also the stepdaughter of Jason Momoa.
Really? Oh, that's right. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, wow, I forgot about that.
Yep.
The gosh, that's so funny. I completely forgot about that.
But they're so close in age.
Yeah.
They're just like just tight family.
The
they would be either way, but
and Zoe Kravitz is gorgeous. I really enjoy. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't finish the what it was. She was cast as Catwoman for Matt Reeves' the Batman, and I think she's fantastic. I have to admit, before I go on my I love her rant, I only know her from a few things, but one movie that she was in that just sits in my heart was called Dope, and it was a Netflix movie a couple years back. And the main character from that, he ended up voicing Miles Morales in Into the Spider-Verse. And
Nice.
I really loved that cast. I thought it was a fantastic movie. And she was in it, and she was great. And again, I think looks-wise and age-wise and just demographically, she really fits what Selena Kyle could be. And I'm a big fan of this choice.
yeah, the second they announced it, I looked at it and I was like, hell yeah, I love
Yeah.
it. Like, it was just that simple. Like, my brain, like Pattinson, I'm struggling with her. I was like, great pick.
Yeah, it's going to be a really good one. However, on the flip side of that, Jonah Hill is no longer in talks with WB for the Batman. He was. It's funny because they were getting some pieces of news wrong. In one of those clickbaity titles I was talking about, they had a clickbaity title that said Seth Rogen to play, or Seth Rogen in talks to play Penguin. That wasn't true. So apparently what happened is very early on, they started talking to Seth Rogen about playing a character in the Batman. Apparently they started talking to Seth Rogen because they wanted Jonah Hill. And they thought the easiest way to get to Jonah Hill was to have the friend of his who he does everything with to also be in the movie.
Can you imagine, though, if he was Penguin? He's like,
Yeah. So they were like, I think they were prepared to have both of them in the movie very early on.
I don't like that.
Seth Rogen kind of fell out, honestly, and I love Seth Rogen. I'm a big fan. This is again where it comes to just trying not to be biased towards people you like. I would not want him anywhere near. I could see him playing like somebody not as iconic as one of these villains, but maybe being in the movie in some capacity, sure. But him playing like the Penguin or the Riddler, and I kind of felt
Yeah.
the same way about Jonah Hill. I like Jonah Hill. We've seen he can act. For these movies, it's so hard. Zoe Kravitz is great because she's not a mega celebrity that I can't get lost in the movie. But every time they bring one of these big names in, it's really hard for me to sink into that character no matter how good their performance is. Right?
So with Jonah Hill, and we talked about this when it first came up, for some reason, and it's obvious now, I think, but for some reason everybody was saying Penguin, and I thought right from the beginning, I was like, they're going to have him be the Riddler. I just know it.
Oh, I thought
And
so too.
I was actually kind of excited about it because after seeing some of his most recent, what's the thing he did with Emma Stone for Netflix?
Oh, I know what you're
I
talking
think it's
about.
called Manic or something.
Maniac. Yeah.
After seeing his performance in that, and obviously Wolf of Wall Street, we know he's a good
Yes.
actor, but I just thought he was going to be like a really good, like creepy kind of Riddler.
Yes.
And I gotta say, the guy that they actually went with, I am like ecstatic.
So they cast almost as soon as talks. So what I think happened is that they stopped talks with Jonah Hill, and they had somebody on their mind who was kind of like just second in line. And the minute things fell through with Jonah Hill, and they had a definite answer on that, they ran right to Paul Dano and his people and said, "We'd like to offer you the part."
The second I saw it, I was like, this is like the
He
best
is
pick you could have gotten.
Fantastic. So I didn't know who he was last night, and then you said you need to like research, and I started looking through some of his stuff,
Yeah.
and I was like, holy shit, I know who this guy is. Not only that, he looks just like the Arkham version.
He looks like
He looks very much
Edward
like the Riddler.
Nygma. Like-
I will say with Jonah Hill, I absolutely could have seen him as the Riddler.
Yeah.
Way more than the Penguin.
Big time.
I thought the Penguin was a mistake. I wanted to scream when I thought of him playing.
I
It would have been
honestly
so
always
stupid.
wanted Andy Serkis to be the
Oh,
Penguin.
absolutely.
Like, I know that's not like an obscure
No,
one.
no, for-
Everybody was in on
for
that.
sure. Andy Serkis can do anything, by the way.
But now he's directing Venom too, so.
Oh yeah, that's right. He is directing.
So
Thank
now I'm, like,
God.
super excited.
Yeah, I think he might do a really good job with
Oh,
that.
he will.
He
He's-
is the
he's
motion
killer,
capture genius. I mean, he really knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
But the yeah, I think Paul Dano is a really cool choice for the Riddler, and I can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah, Paul
We seem to
Dano.
be-
Oh, sorry. Go
Oh,
ahead.
I apologize. I just say that we seem to be getting more good news than bad.
Yeah.
However, they did announce alongside the casting of Paul Dano something that fans don't traditionally love when they're like, I'm going to change this character's backstory or I'm going to change this about a character. And they don't ever love when they change their fucking name.
Yeah, especially somebody big. Like
especially like
character.
somebody who is who they like. The Riddler is Edward Nygma.
Yeah.
Enigma. And it's always been such a great
It's just a cool name.
Yeah, just an awesome part of who he
And now
was,
he's
and I love it.
Edward
They
Nashton.
decided to change it to Edward Nashton, which sounds like a failed country musician.
I was literally about to say a 3-time Grammy-nominated country music award.
I'm really annoyed about it. Not enough that I'm not excited about the movie.
Nah.
Because we have seen it in the past, and I just think that directors need to stop thinking they know better than, you know what I mean?
It's
Like,
starting to
stop
worry
being
me, like,
fans
Reeves-
won't fucking care.
Reeves starting to worry me a little bit. I'm
Right.
like, how far is he going to go to try to be like, look how unique I made this?
What else did he do again? He was in the Planet.
He
Planet
did the
of
whole
Apes.
trilogy of the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, that was his stuff, right?
Yeah, he did.
So he can make good movies. I thought that, first of all three
those
of
were
those
good
movies.
Those were very good movies.
Yeah, very solid movies.
I know he did another one that I can't think of right now, but I think most recently was the Planet of the Apes trilogy, and he did a great job with it.
Can I just like inject real quick that I'm actually very excited for? I didn't think I would be, but Christopher Nolan's new movie. What is it called? Matt.
Hang on one second.
That's also got Robert Pattinson and a bunch of other celebrities in
Yeah,
it.
it's got a dude that I've only seen in comedy stuff, and now I know he's going to be something super serious.
I don't
It
remember what
looks
it's called,
awesome.
and it's kind of killing me.
I'm about to get it for you.
Oh,
Just stall.
you're looking it up? Well, folks, while he's looking that up, let me tell you a little bit about corn soup. Corn soup.
It's called Tenet.
Tenet, thank you.
Yes.
That sounds great.
I will be the first to tell you, if it says Christopher Nolan did it, I'm
Yeah.
in. Like,
I haven't seen any of his
Automatically.
early stuff. Somebody was talking about like the first couple movies that made him who
you've
he
never
is.
seen Memento?
No, I've never
His
seen
first
Memento.
movie with
Nope.
Guy Pearce?
Nope,
That movie is fantastic.
I've not seen.
Now,
Memento.
I'll tell you, it's one of the ones where it's like you either hate it or you love it.
Right.
But like the whole movie, it's like in reverse. It's like they you know how Christopher Nolan's always trying
Right.
to warp your mind, but it's basically playing out in reverse.
I've seen pretty much Inception and the Dark Knight trilogy, and I think that's it. to
Well,
be
you
honest.
covered a lot of them. You had to have seen The Prestige.
Oh yes, of course.
That's
seen it.
probably
that was a
one of-
Nolan film.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I've
Dude,
seen,
he's good, man.
seen the Prestige. But yeah, very excited. I don't know if you also saw that the trailer. They're doing a continuous one shot movie based in World War One, based in the Great War.
Yeah.
The
yeah.
whole movie is a continuous one shot of these two young soldiers trying to deliver a message.
Oh, he also did the war movie. Nolan. Sorry, you just
Okay, but do you know the one I'm talking
Yeah.
about? It like that to me sounds fucking insane.
Yeah.
A whole movie, continuous one shot, which obviously there's, sneak cuts in there, but the fact that they can piece together a movie that looks like it is a one continuous shot, that is insane to me. He said that he really wants the audience to feel like they're in real time with what's going on, and it looks awesome. Anyways,
Dunkirk was the one I was thinking of. That Christopher
Dunkirk
Nolan
was a Christopher Nolan movie?
did. Yeah. And
Really?
I'm also forgetting arguably my favorite one he's ever done, which is Interstellar.
I haven't seen Interstellar.
Okay, well, I'm about to
Well,
quit.
here's the thing: is I didn't go to see it in theaters, and then as soon as I missed my chance, and I was like, "Oh, I should really see that," I had somebody be like, "If you didn't get to see it on a giant screen,
So-
you don't want to watch it on a 45-inch
that
screen."
is true. So to experience it in the theater is the way it was meant to be experienced, but you need to watch it. It's a
like an
fantastic
IMAX
movie.
experience.
Yeah.
What else? We have more Batman news. Jason Alexander apparently is campaigning for the Penguin, which I hate to say it makes a little bit of sense. He's been out of the spotlight for a while, but he fits the demographic kind of the way that Danny DeVito did back in the day.
Dude, I feel like the ones that come from a background of comedy, they
They turn up
always
the
can
heat, man.
they can always deliver
Yeah,
in a serious
in a
role.
weird way. Somebody was talking about that. They were saying that because it's comedy is so much more acting because you're putting on that face every single time you do it, and you're kind of blocking down. You know, the idea that all comedians are like miserable
Depressed
and
and-
suicidal and
yeah.
depressed and stuff is that you're blocking that down so much that when they finally get the chance to let it out, it's just pure like raw emotion, and I think that that's super interesting.
Like, did you ever see the number 23 with Jim Carrey?
Oh yeah, Jim Carrey, of course.
I thought it was
Yeah.
fantastic.
Freaky
And of
Jim
course, I was
Carrey.
like, Jim Carrey, he can't do anything serious. And
Well, again,
then-
it's like look at Bryan Cranston. We were just talking about Breaking Bad and
Yep.
El Camino, which I just finally watched, and it's amazing.
yep, big time.
But he was so funny for years and years and years on Malcolm in the Middle, and then he comes out and does this amazing dramatic performance for 5 whole seasons. And
Yeah, Walter White, bitch.
yeah. By the way, did you watch El Camino?
Not yet.
Oh gosh, we got to talk.
As
soon
I
as
was
you do.
yakking about, oh, I'm the movie guy. Have you watched the new Breaking Bad movie? Nope.
It's on Netflix. I watched it laying down. Like
Nah,
that was fantastic.
I haven't gotten around to it. I will.
So, other Batman news. I think the last piece of Batman news is Batman is to start filming at the beginning of 2020, but they said it could start as early as December 2019.
I just need to see Robert Pattinson in the bat suit.
So, did you hear what he said about the Batsuit? He's worn a prototype version of their suit, not just a previous suit, which is traditionally when they're doing like the auditions.
they'll wear like Val Kilmer's or something.
They'll wear the Last Generation. So I think
Bale.
I think he did Bale's Batsuit, and he said that he's worn a prototype of his own suit, and he hasn't seen the finished suit, but he said there is a finished suit that exists in the WB archives already.
Wow.
And he just said they won't let him see it yet, or they won't unveil it, but there is a finished suit out there. So
I'm trying to think when they did BVS, because that was the first reemergence of a next-gen Batman. How early they I mean, Snyder showed him what he looked like pretty well before the movie came out. He waited a while.
the only thing I remember about BVS is Kevin Smith again saying that he was at a party
Oh yeah, and he got to see it.
and somebody showed it on his phone, and he freaked out, said, because he saw it on a mannequin
Yeah.
on this guy's phone, and he kind of said, I can't tell you anything about it, but it's awesome. And then pretty soon after that, we got
That's where he dropped that shot of him standing by the Batmobile
By the
in black and
Batmobile.
white. Because you
Yeah.
didn't know what the color scheme was, because it was just all gray.
Well, that Entertainment Magazine cover of him with the inverted colors, where he was all dark gray but the light gray bat symbol.
oh yeah.
That I wanted to see that so bad because those colors were great. They ended up going the other way, which is fine because it looked very traditional. But
I feel like on this one they're gonna keep it pretty sealed tight for a long time. I just get a
Yeah.
vibe like they're not gonna really show.
I think that so many of us are on our toes for that bat suit specifically.
Yeah.
Because we want to know what it looks like.
Especially because, like, again, it was the same thing with Affleck, because not everybody was
Affleck.
loving him as being cast as Batman, so they
Right.
wanted to see what he looked like, and honestly, he looked fantastic.
People
and-
were mad at. People were furious that Affleck.
Oh, I was one of
cast.
them. And
And again, he is to this day my favorite on-screen Batman.
BVS Batman is the king
Is
of
the
kings.
truth. Yes.
Justice
we
League
don't
Batman
need to
was
talk
an
about Justice
abomination.
League. We know.
But
Like,
I totally don't let that discredit BVS.
I'm on
Batman.
the same page. BVS is a great movie. I don't like the extended Snyder cut of that movie, but I do
What are you
like.
talking about? That is the movie.
Yes,
That's how it's supposed to be watched.
Again, I think that the difference is
Makes
that
it way better.
he's much more murdery, like intentional murdery.
You know,
and
people keep going back to that, and honestly, rewatch the Tim Burton films.
no, I understand that.
He's very murdery.
No, I understand that. It's just not how it should be, in my opinion.
So-
Batman does not. Batman does not. He's not. He doesn't have to save everybody. If a criminal puts themselves in a position where they're gonna die, he doesn't have to save anyone. But Batman does not intentionally just straight up murder people. Which, yes, I know he did in Burton's films,
A lot.
but he did it really hardcore in the Snyder cut of BVS, and I didn't like it. That's just
I
me
don't know,
personally.
man, but when Batman turning the Batmobile around and torching the guy with the
No, I know.
Keaton Batman was pretty brutal.
It wasn't right back then. It's not right today.
I've completely forgot too in the '89 Batman where he grabs the dude with his legs and bangs him into the church bell and then just
Yeah.
lets him fall like 80 stories. I was like, oh, okay.
Jesus. Anyways, on MCU news, Edward Norton is apparently, how do I phrase this? He's expressed his interest in returning to the MCU, but this time he wants to return as a villain.
Yeah, well, didn't they run him off because he was such a pain in the ass last time?
So he kind of said that, and I read an interview that he was talking about. He thinks it was a very different time for the MCU. That was technically the very first movie, right, of the MCU.
I don't count that in the MCU. I know they do.
I mean,
but
it
I
is
don't count it.
MCU canon though, so it technically counts. But it was the very start of the MCU. It was before Feige came in and all that kind of good stuff, and he just thinks that it's a very tight run ship now, and he thinks that he would get along a lot better with how they're doing things. They also don't have near the interference because it's Disney bought it in its own. They don't have near the interference with the studio and with execs and the stuff that they want to do now.
Hey, I want to get that MCU money.
Right. So he wants to be a part. I could see him being. Somebody said, I don't remember what they said. They said, somebody was like, I could see him being Kraven. I'm like, in what universe could you see Edward Norton being Kraven? I could see him being an intellectual role like Hulk, adversary, the leader. I don't know if you ever saw. He looks like Megamind. Or like MODOK. I could see him being like MODOK. I think that'd be cool.
He was a villain in Alita, Battle Angel.
He was.
Yeah.
He was. He could be. I mean, again, he's awesome. I love him. I loved Alita Battle Angel.
I adore her.
The CW Crisis on Infinite Earths, the Anti-Monitor, finally got revealed through Entertainment Magazine. They had a really cool pic. He looks, spoiler alert, just like the Monitor, but all black and crinkly skin and stuff.
Kind of like Anti.
I'm pretty sure it's the same actor too, so I'm sure he's playing both parts. But
yeah, and how about the newspaper clipping that shows Michael Keaton as Batman? Was that true?
Yeah. So basically, what it is that it's just Michael Keaton is in a photograph on the mantle in one of the universes.
Yeah, it like shows Keaton and Pfeiffer saying they're getting married. It says that
no, I saw
Bruce
the picture.
Wayne, yeah.
It's
no, I'm just describing it.
Is that what the newspaper article said?
Yeah, it says Bruce Wayne and Selena Kyle to be married, and it shows like a photo
fair
from
enough.
Batman Returns.
Yeah, it and of course that's as far as it's going to go, but it's going to be one of the universes that, yes, of course.
I was like, they're getting wild with this. Like,
They're-
when is it going to release? Like 2025? Is
No,
that
it's-
when?
What do you? It's December 10th.
Because they've been talking about this forever.
I know,
and then
but it's
I'm waiting for him tomorrow to be like,
It's always been had the same release date,
be like,
December
we got
10th.
Kevin Spacey.
But the it's a lot. So they're adding a lot of which I think is appropriate. If you're gonna do Crisis on Infinite Earths, do it as big as you can, man. They're
feel
getting
like-
as many cameos and as many mentions and licensing agreements as they possibly can.
I feel like they know they're on borrowed time. That's just my opinion. I think the CW One Tree Hill DC shows are
Disagree.
on the decline.
I disagree. They wouldn't be starting the next Arrow show almost immediately after if they thought they were.
What is the next Arrow show?
It's Arrow. It's the Green Arrow and the Canaries, which was a comic book line.
So who's taking over for?
There's going to be a new Green Arrow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they wouldn't be continuing like that if they didn't think that they were successful.
Okay, well, I'm an idiot. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you are. Fuck off. No, don't. I need you. Both.
All right, I'll
both,
let
both,
that go.
Both for the show and in life.
Shut up. Just go.
Kevin Feige just got a pretty big promotion in Marvel, and in layman's terms, he was promoted to Chief Creative Officer, and his role now does not just branch over the MCU. He now is in charge of the MCU, television, and they said print. However, that doesn't necessarily mean that he has control over the comics. We don't know yet, but if he is now in charge over the comics as well, you can expect the books to have big changes coming. He also doesn't seem like he's never seemed like the type of person who's interested in like ruining a good thing. And as much as I'm not like a Marvel diehard fan or anything, I think that some of the writers out there are doing a really good job. So even if he does have control over the comics, I'm sure he's going to be like, you guys are doing a great job. We have great numbers and great sales. Keep doing what you're doing. And then he'll focus on the TV and movies.
So you feel it's a good move for him to be?
Yeah, I have nothing
promoted?
but respect for Feige. I don't know. I personally don't know anything that he's done that I wouldn't like about him. I thought he's spearheaded some really great movies, and he is, like it or not, whether people want to accept it or not, he is responsible for the success of where the MCU is now.
It's like we were chatting earlier to show a little bit of my ignorance here. I thought he was already doing all of this. So
right, he was, and he was over the MCU, but
Right.
now he's over like all of it.
yeah, that's huge.
And
That's
he's
like putting all their trust in one
Right.
man. Like
Now he's still going to report to the chief creative officer of Disney. That's his boss, from what it said.
the guy who makes like
So a CCO to a
$200 zillion
CCO.
a year.
Yeah.
Cool.
I still don't know who. I can't remember who. Oh, Bob Iger. That's who owns Disney.
It's Mickey Mouse, dude.
Is it Mickey Mouse?
Yeah.
Is he
He
still?
lives in a castle.
Is he still alive?
He's loaded. He's
Is,
immortal.
like loaded like drunk or loaded like money?
Both.
Both. Do you think Mickey Mouse? If Mickey Mouse were real, do you think he would just like put all those millions right into a needle in his arm? Like, do you
I think he'd be an accountant.
you think he'd be an accountant?
Yeah, like a business analyst.
like he's stupid rich, but you know,
And-
I still work just because I need to get out of the house.
Your numbers suck.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh.
And he'd wear khakis. Like
He wouldn't wear his traditional red shorts with the
No.
yellow buttons.
no, he's a more goal oriented Disney.
I
or
like
Di-
this
Mickey.
version. I like this version of Mickey Mouse that you're painting.
He probably
for
would
me.
have glasses.
Glasses.
Yeah.
Just so he could push them up the bridge of his nose as he was telling somebody why they're wrong.
Yeah,
That's great.
yeah. And he
Gosh.
would probably drive a mid-size SUV,
Matt, this is literally why you're a writer, and
like
I
a
need you to-
Ratmobile.
I need you to never stop. All right.
Okay. Well, we'll table this for right now. And,
We're gonna
we'll
come
back
up with
to
a
that.
new story. But yeah, I think that's pretty cool. We also got a Birds of Prey trailer. What did I just say?
What did you just say?
I just said-
What just came
we
out
got
of your
a
mouth?
Birds of Prey trailer, and it absolutely nothing about it got me excited.
Birds of Trey Taylor.
Birds of Trey trailer. Fuck off.
Oh, that was
Nothing about this trailer got me excited. I didn't. It felt so much like watching the trailer for the first Suicide Squad movie.
Yeah, it did. You can tell it like same vibe.
It had exactly the same feel.
Yeah, it really did. Except the first Suicide Squad trailer did a really good job of convincing you it was a good movie.
And why? I'm sorry, because I'm still excited for this movie. I don't know why, because it didn't look good. I
What, Birds
love
of Prey or Trays of
Birds of
whatever
Prey.
you said.
I really love the cast, but
Yeah.
it I don't know why they didn't just call it Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey.
See, that's
They
what I
have-
don't get either, because they're clearly showing
It's a Harley
Harley
Quinn movie.
It's her movie.
Yeah.
and that's okay.
That's fine.
That's totally fine.
I still to this day think that she is a great cast.
Oh, she's
for,
perfect.
She's great.
She's perfect.
I just don't know why they had to go with the Birds of Prey and the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn. That is a mouthful nobody's ever going to say again.
Yeah.
And they're just going to call it Birds of Prey. Should have
Yeah.
just called it Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey.
Yeah, that's an excellent title. Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
Because you could have it in the cool, fun font.
Yeah.
And the Birds of Prey.
Yeah, people are stupid.
If they don't put the full black mask on Ewan McGregor,
Yeah,
I'm
there-
going to
again.
lose it.
There's because I think in the New 52 he was half masked, and there's rumors that he is going to be a half masked.
Actually, you know what? Depending on his origin,
Right.
originally he just wore a mask and then it got like melted onto his face.
So
maybe it could do that.
I don't think. Well, I can't say, but I doubt that's the route they're going.
I doubt it.
From
If
what
you
I
get
understand,
Ewan McGregor, man, you're not going to want to have him covered
right?
up.
From what I understand, he's just going to be Roman Zionis. That was his name, right? Roman.
Sionis. Yeah, you're right. It's
Right.
just an S.
Oh, is an S, not a Z? Okay, Roman Sionis. He's going to be Roman Sionis with just wearing a mask. That being said, if at the end of the movie he does like get, wasn't that the Rhino in Spider-Man 2? He got this suit to enhance himself, and then somehow it got became a part of his body.
That I feel like that happened with a few of them, because that's definitely what happened with Scorpion.
Is that what happened to
Yes,
Scorpion?
because his tail got like fused to his spine.
Oh, no kidding.
At least in the animated series. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, I know this 100%.
Yeah.
In the animated series version, I do remember that. Like
Again,
his-
I got you on DC trivia, but I couldn't tell you when it comes to
yeah.
Marvel stuff.
So I can tell you in the 90s animated series, that's what it was.
Not
like.
only did we get a Birds of Trey trailer, but we got a that time was intentional, Matt. We got a
God.
we got set photos of the Suicide Squad cast.
Yeah, I didn't
not
like
all
that
of
at
them.
all.
We didn't get any of the heavy hitters. However, we did get Idris Elba in a white convict like prison jumper, as well as a couple other people. But we got a bunch of people in their costumes.
You can tell, like, it's oh boy directing it. Why can't I think of his name?
James Gunn.
Because the colors of those suits are just so bright.
Hey, you know who
Like-
is in this movie that I can't figure out who he's supposed to be?
Is that I can't stand this guy, but I know exactly
I
what
love
you're
him.
gonna say.
I know who you're thinking of.
Yeah,
Pete
the
Davidson?
guy that was dating Kate Beckinsale.
Oh, what?
Yeah, the blonde guy from SNL.
No, he was dating Ariana Grande.
Okay, and
Did
then
he
he
date
was
Kate
also dating Kate
Did he
Beckinsale.
really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Fascinating. Anyways, yes, him, Pete Davidson from SNL. He,
I saw his character has guns and stuff.
yeah,
though,
he
so.
has like a bunch of guns like on his vest and everything.
My
and
luck,
he's
they'll be like,
such an
he's Floyd
idiot.
Lawton. I'll be like, oh my
No,
God.
there's no way in hell he's not one of the ones who gets like killed off quick.
I sure.
He's gonna
would hope so.
die within the first, like, hand to Christ, he is gonna die in the first 30 minutes of that movie, and he's just not like the guy that is gonna somehow become one of the stars of this movie.
I just really want to see how this is going to play out because I know he says it's not a sequel, but there's so many returning characters.
That's what I don't understand.
Like, I want to see what this is.
So
like,
they keep calling it a soft reboot of the DCEU, but how can you do this without it not being a train wreck? Like, we're gonna have to get 10 or 11 movies deep before people just forget, and they will because people are short memoried. But it's gonna take a long time for us to like mold into whatever they're moving this. They keep saying that they're gonna keep Gal Gadot. They're gonna keep, is it Gal Gadot or Gal Gadot?
I've always heard Godot.
Gal Gadot. They're gonna keep Jason Momoa. They're gonna keep a lot of those elements. But how can we do that?
I don't know. I guess it's like you kind of what you were just saying. Like, I guess they're just gonna restart,
Right.
and then just keep going,
You
and
know
then
what's
eventually you'll just be like, okay, this is it.
What's driving me even crazier is that we've never gotten an exact yes or no on Henry Cavill.
And that is that's probably the biggest heartbreak for me. Is he was my favorite, and I think he's a fantastic
Again, he was
Superman. and
fantastic.
I would love nothing but him to get like 2 more movies.
I think at this point, and this may sound ignorant, but I think at this point, if he wasn't coming back, like if it was a definite no, we would have gotten that definite no.
Yeah, I've heard.
You know what I mean?
Like when he was talking about The Witcher and all that stuff, he's even said himself, he's like, well, I've never said that I was not Superman anymore.
Yeah, but he also
So-
did that interview where the lady was like, "And you're Superman," and he goes, "Well," he just
Yeah.
kind of left it at that.
But that could all just be a stall
Yeah,
for
who-
now. Like, we don't know yet.
Again, I think if we had a definite no, we would have gotten that like hands down.
I'm just stoked because Witcher's about to come out, and you know me, I love The Witcher. So
The last 2 pieces of news are going to, you know what? And I'm going to cut myself off. I don't know much about The Witcher. Somebody told me I need to play the games because like I really love story-driven games, and they said I would love it.
Yeah.
It just doesn't look like my kind of thing, but I'll give it a shot. I will say I think that he looks incredibly corny with the white hair. But
he's not. I don't think he's a great pick, but I love Henry Cavill, so I'm
Yeah.
just like, whatever.
The last 2 pieces of news are Joker related, which is going to ride right into our next segment of the review. And the Jared Leto apparently was upset by the Joker movie. He felt very excluded and felt like his thing was the things that people didn't like about the Joker in his movie
It was not his fault.
was not his fault, which I agree. I hate this. I agree.
Yeah.
He even said he didn't come up with the tattoos and the grill. And did you see that we posted it on our Facebook page, the Bat in the Hat podcast Facebook page, where a fan had taken his Joker and digitally removed the gold teeth and the tattoos,
And he looked
he
amazing.
looked really terrifying, like really great.
Yeah.
And I would have loved to see that version of the Joker. He's, again, that wasn't his fault.
There was a good idea in there. I know it was. 'Cause
Right.
they got a fantastic actor. Jared Leto is incredibly talented.
And again, everybody says the
And-
same thing. We didn't get to see enough of him, but in the clips that we did, I thought he was a fine Joker.
They just needed to, where the director, like he even admitted, he should have just made the Joker the main villain.
Right.
And just ran with it. Then we could have got a lot of time with him
Right.
and let him develop. And I honestly think, like, I don't know. I think if we would have had more time with him, it would have been different.
So that's another thing we've never heard a solid word about. Do you think we'll get Jared Leto Joker in any further movies?
I know he's implied in
In the new one, right?
Praise of whatever you called it,
Birds of Trey.
Birds
right?
of Trey. Even down to the looks, because I saw the set stuff.
I was
where,
gonna
like,
say,
they
you
had
saw the
somebody
set.
dressed up like him.
Yeah, where he's up in the window, but you can't like see him.
Yep. And see, that's where it gets confusing too, because they're like Suicide Squad is not a sequel, but we're using mostly the same cast. But
I don't know, man.
Birds of Prey clearly looks like it's a continuation from Suicide Squad. So I'm
Right.
like, how does any of this work? but I guess we'll find out. So
Oh, what's interesting is I just realized because Birds of Prey is coming out soon, and so she would have just finished filming not super long ago, and they're already filming. They're filming Suicide Squad now, so she's done like 2 movies back to back as the same character.
she's confirmed in that, right? Like,
In Suicide Squad, yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Because I know for a while they're like, we're not sure.
yeah. They're both. She's in it for sure, and
Yeah, 'cause they
at
got-
least last I heard,
I know the returning ones are what? Joel Kinnaman, oh boy that plays Boomerang,
right?
obviously Margot Robbie,
Jai Courtney.
Viola Davis is
Right.
Amanda Waller.
She's great. I love her.
I really would have liked to see Will Smith come back.
Well, we know that Scott Eastwood's not coming back.
Poor guy.
He got blowed up. I
Blowed
really
up.
can't wait to see how they do King Shark. That's like what I'm most concerned about.
That's what that Davison guy will be. He'll be King Shark.
No, he's not.
Hopefully he'll get killed by King Shark.
Yeah, that would be cool if he just got killed by a king shark. That'd be neat. James Gunn, though, again, he's fantastic. He's not going to let them do a shitty king shark like they completely messed up Killer Croc. He's going to be like, no, if the Flash TV show can have a badass CGI king shark and have him fight a badass CGI Gorilla Grodd, we're going to do it better in this movie.
Hell yeah.
I have faith in him. And the last piece of Joker news, last piece of news at all, Matt, is there have been several talks ever since the Joker's first night of success of other movies for villains such as the Riddler, such as Lex Luthor, such as Victor Freeze, having solo origin movies for them completely under the Black Label name, one-shot movies where, in the same vein, much more serious takes, and they don't all have to be super serious, but they're going to be more cinematic than just being in a Batman movie but it seems to be mostly the Batman Rogues Gallery that is going to get the treatment.
We've talked about it before, man. Batman and Spider-Man, they have the best
Oh yeah,
rogues galleries ever. So I'm cool with it. Do every Batman.
and the
villain.
Flash. You got to put the Flash in there.
The Flash has like one. And
What do you
guess
ta-
what?
he
It's
has-
just reverse Flash.
What are you talking about? He has the original Rogues Gallery. Captain Cold, the guy.
Dumb.
What was it? The guy with the heat gun. Heat something.
Dr. Heat.
He has the
Heat
top.
Wave.
He has Mirror Master. He has a bunch of them.
Those are all terrible.
Captain Boomerang is his.
I know, but they're all stupid.
They are really stupid.
They're
So
dumb.
he has a really great Rogues Gallery, but none of them you can take really seriously.
No. But Eobard Thawne, that's probably one of the best villains in DC. So he's got at least one.
I'm very interested to see more. I don't, and again, you're about to get into your review. I don't want a sequel to Joker.
No.
I don't want it to connect to a future movie into the Batman. I don't think I'd be super mad if that's what happened, but I don't want it. And if they made more one-shot Black Label movies, I'd be very happy. But
To clarify, we would love to see more of Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker.
of course,
But
if it
this
didn't,
movie should stay by itself.
right, if it didn't ruin the original what this was.
Yeah, it needs
But
to
with that
stay.
being said, man, news is over. Matt, regale us with your thoughts on this week's featured content, which is, of course, Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker.
So I haven't seen the movie. Plan to do it this weekend. So this is all based on the trailer.
So this is going to be a really weird review.
Here's a surprise for you guys. Hadn't seen it. No, I've actually seen it twice. Saw it the premiere night that Thursday, and you and I went and saw it the next day. So funny enough, and I'll have to get your opinion on this, I felt completely different the first time I saw it than I did the second time I saw it. First time I saw it, in regards to pace, I thought it was pretty slow. And I'm going to explain what I think happened. But I thought it was pretty slow. Overall, I thought it was a great movie, but I was like, yeah, that's probably just a one-timer for me. Here's the reason that I think the second time seemed so much better. Because when we saw it together, the pace felt perfect. Like we flew through that movie. I loved it. Tell me if this makes sense to you, what I'm trying to convey here. The first time I saw it, and I don't think I'm the only one that did this, in my head, I had already imagined what I thought this movie was going to be. What I mean by that is I thought he was going to become the Joker about halfway in, and then we're going to get a lot of Joker just craziness. That wasn't really what happened. The second time, knowing what it was, I just enjoyed it, and I loved it. Does that make sense? Like, did you have any like preconceived?
I mean, I think
Notions?
it's impossible to go in without like preconceived notions on that stuff. I tried not to. I tried very hard. I was like that child, like walking into a museum or someplace and being like, "What is this going to look
Yeah,
like?"
I
You know
did
what
look
mean?
over at you a couple times, and you were just like,
I was very
in awe.
bright-eyed. I don't know if you saw me, but my mouth was like, my jaw was agape the whole time. I was very invested in this movie.
it was fun because I knew when certain parts were coming, and I was like, yeah, he's gonna.
I think what threw my notions out the window, or my assumptions out the window, was when I leaned over to you. I don't know if you remember this, but like 15 minutes in the movie, I was like, holy fuck, like everything that was in the trailers already happened. So I was like, we've seen pretty much the whole trailers except for stuff with him in the makeup.
Right.
And I was like, what is the rest of this movie going to look like? So I was very open to, I have no idea what's going to happen.
They did a great job with that because you're absolutely right. Everything we saw was pretty much in the first 10 to 15 minutes. But yeah, so that's kind of how I felt. First time, I didn't think it was bad. Just thought it was kind of you'll know what I mean when I say this. I thought it was kind of taxing. Like it took a toll on you when you watched it because it was just so depressing in a sense and very long. And then somebody had to hit me with the, dude, it's only 2 hours. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, walking out of that theater, I had a whole night of like reflection. Like it's very hard to watch. It was a very heavy movie, very emotionally heavy, and
you definitely need some time after, and not to sound dramatic or anything. It's not like, oh God, it like scarred me for life, but you needed some time to like unpack what you just watched, in a sense. And
Yeah,
I know that's not uncommon because I've read other people that thought the same thing, and they were just like, I need a minute to like digest this.
well, I think beyond that, and it was something, I don't know if it was you and me talking about it or me and Tony at the shop, but yeah, that sounded so, me and Tony at the shop, me and Tony at Mythical Mountain, we, it's very hard to watch a movie like that where the whole time you're watching somebody down on his luck and being kicked and kicked and kicked and going through mental illness and not putting yourself in those shoes. It's very hard not to watch most of that movie and see yourself reflected on it, because a lot of us who come from the lower class or the lower middle class, we kind of see what we've come from. And I don't want to sound like that person who's like, I've struggled so hard, but we've all had tough times. We've all had, some people have had it worse than others.
Sure.
And a lot of people have a hard time dealing with what they came from. So when you're watching a movie that is that heavy in tone, it's very hard not to put your face on Joaquin Phoenix's, and you walk out of that movie after the resolution almost with a huge hole in your stomach. Like,
Yeah.
Because in any sense you could have seen, they made it so real. They made it so that could have been me.
Yeah, they
Like,
made him relatable in a sense.
and the old Batman, like we were talking about from The Killing Joke, he always said that famous line was, it just takes one bad day. You're one bad day away from being me.
Right.
But what it really shows is it's not always one bad day. It's a lifetime of taking bad days until that one bad day that you finally snap.
Yep.
And it was frightening, because I think we can all relate to the idea of holding in all the awfulness that we take on a daily basis. People who have awful jobs and bosses, and whether it's partners or family or whatnot, and then just one day, what if you were the one to one day snap? So you walk out of that movie, I don't mean to hijack your review,
No,
but
you're good, man.
You walk out of that movie just very kind of reflective. And I know I did. I was very reflective that whole night. Excellent film. But I know exactly what you're talking about. But
Yep.
please go ahead.
So yeah, no, I mean that was all great points, and I agree with everything you just said. But I'm not gonna like go and review the movie scene by scene, but I'll just hit some high points and things like that. But right from the opening scene, you get a taste of like you can tell something's up with Arthur Fleck. You don't immediately know, but obviously a huge tone in this movie is mental illness and people not being treated the best by society in different regards and things like that. They tried to make it like, somebody had said it's almost like the movie lets you peek behind the veil. like some of the nasty truths. And that could be true, and I can't say 100%. That's not me, but it was definitely heavy. But you get a sense of that right away. Obviously, when he's the clown, holding the sign for the appliance store or whatnot, and the kids mug him and make fun of him, things like that. Probably one of my favorite aspects of this version of the Joker was the fact that the laughing was a condition. Like,
the nervous tick.
Yeah,
Was excellent choice.
The first time I saw it, I looked over at my buddy that I was with, and I was like, that's a clever turn of events.
I had read that before the movie came out, that was a rumor.
Yeah.
And it was one of the few things that was truly spoiled for me. And I remember reading it and going, that's fucking genius.
Dude, I didn't know in advance. So
Yeah.
when I saw that, and it happens right away. Like, you find out in the first few minutes.
Sometimes I'll read these things online, and my first thought has to be, don't tell Matt, because I don't want to, spoil, because, I don't want you to get...
Yeah.
I wish I had not read that, because it would have hit me harder in the theater.
So, being familiar with various iterations of this character, I could not think... that's an original idea, isn't it?
Well, one of the, I think, most Oscar-worthy performances that you could possibly... If you had to pick a scene from this movie, it's very hard, first of all, to pick one scene that he would deserve an Academy Award. It truly is Oscar-level acting. But in my opinion, one of the best scenes is... You said he was getting jumped by the kids, and they broke his sign.
Right.
So if you fast forward a little bit, he's being jumped on the train, right, by those guys.
Right.
And when they're beating him up and he's crying, but he's laughing at the exact same time, you can see the pain and the tears in his eyes.
Yep.
That genuinely looked so sad and terrified and scared, but he's laughing and smiling. I fucking was freaking. That was one of the coolest things I had ever seen, because I couldn't figure out how he was conveying that.
Yeah,
in his
how did he
face.
do that?
I genuinely couldn't figure that out.
Because it kind of tore me up a few times, and that scene specifically, yeah. Because remember, they're harassing the woman,
Right.
and he starts to have his tick or whatever, and he starts laughing, and nobody knows. They think he's just laughing,
Right.
And you can truly tell, internally, he is struggling with all of his might to not do it.
Right.
And like you said, when they start approaching him, he's scared, he's sad, but on the outside, he's literally laughing. But you can clearly identify all of those different emotions.
And just
And it's
as a
insane.
character choice,
Yeah.
that's so impressive.
That was my favorite aspect of this version. I was just like, that's incredible.
So speaking of that scene, that was the first bit of violence. We went very far into the movie, and there was no... I think we all expected there to be, because it's the Joker, right? So he's known for mass murdering. He's known for a body count. And if you look at this movie, it's a very low body count. There's not a whole lot of serious violence.
Yeah, granted, his first kill, he dropped 4 people, so. But I agree.
Was it
I'm
4?
agreeing with you. Yeah, because he killed, 3 of them, 4 of them?
There's 3 of them, I think.
Yeah.
Well, no, but that's what I was going to say. But we're pretty far into the movie at this point. We've got to be 40 minutes into the movie.
I will be the first to say that I think it was way over. I don't know, if they were just trying to turn this into something it wasn't, but yeah, no. John Wick is 100 times more violent than this movie was, in my opinion.
Well, again, those were just concerns. And I
Right.
can totally see where you're talking about the concerns that people had that this was going to glorify a villain. It was going to glorify a murderer.
I didn't think it did,
No,
personally.
not at all, and I don't think it did at all. I will say I understood the concerns. When you had, in 2012, somebody walk into a theater claiming to be the Joker, dressed in colors and acting like the villain that we're now putting on the big screen, and he killed all those people, I can understand where the concern came from. That being said, this movie was incredibly tasteful, and the violence that it showed was not glorifying the villain itself. It was showing society's place, I feel, in putting people like this down, and why we, in total, have to look for the signs and avoid. Also, I think one of the biggest lessons of this movie was don't be a fucking bully. Don't be an asshole.
Yeah, we saw what happened to De Niro. So, and he
But
pretty much spelled it out for him why he was about to blow him
what
away.
I wanted to ask you was we got this far in the movie when it finally happened. How did it hit you? Because for me, I didn't even think at this point he was going to kill them. It was so out of the blue to me in a good way.
That's funny you said that because I remember watching the trailers a couple months before it came out.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I'm not saying like, oh, I caught on to something. I'm pretty sure everybody noticed this. But even from the earliest trailers, I expected for him to make the turn was that scene.
Right.
Because they showed him where he's laughing and they're, beating him up. And I was like, that's the scene. Like,
Right.
This is it. So when it started to happen in the movie, I was like, here we go. Took about 40 minutes, like you said. But from here on, it's game on. He's going to be jokered up.
I was so comfortable with Arthur as the victim that I just didn't expect it. And I knew he had a fucking gun on him. The scene prior was him being fired from his job because he brought the gun into the kid's hospital.
Like in retrospect, I wasn't surprised that he killed him, but the way that they showed the first kill
right.
was so abrupt
Yes.
and just random. Because it's just they show the guy kicking him, and then just next thing you know, he's got a bullet through his forehead, and he's just flying back, and you're just like, whoa.
But again, really great scene, and
yeah, arguably one of the best scenes in the movie. You're right, one of many.
Oh, one of many, absolutely. I want to talk about real quick, if we could, just because, again, Mark Bernardin kind of brought this up, and I completely disagreed with him. He said he thought that the scene directly after, I guess it's still part of the same scene, but he chases down the last guy and he runs. This is technically New York. I know it's Gotham, but it was, New York-ish of the 1970s. So getting away from the murder scene was a lot easier back then.
Yeah, because he just left.
And so he gets out and then he runs to that bathroom, right? And he starts dancing in the mirror and kind of looking at himself, and he does the weird dancing with his arms. And Mark Bernardin said, for the life of me, I didn't like that scene because I couldn't figure out why that choice is made. Why would that character go in there and just start dancing and just start... And I know exactly... I feel in my heart I know exactly why. I just want to know what you thought.
Well, to me, like, the whole dancing was part of, like, Arthur. Like, that wasn't the only time he did something like that in the movie. So, to start, to put it simply, he likes to dance. Number two, I felt like...
He did have a weird, affection for dancing.
Yeah, he did. He did it, 4 or 5 times.
Yeah,
but,
that's funny. I didn't even think about that.
But to me, that was the scene is artistic. It is. Like, with the score to this movie is incredible. Like,
Right.
the soundtrack is just start to finish killer. But to me, that was the metamorphosis. That's where he was turning, essentially. And I just thought it was really artistic, kind of. He just dropped 3 or 4 people, and he's in there just dancing away. So I don't know. To me, I thought that was his personality shifting more from Arthur to Joker. That's the way I took it.
If I could, I want to... The first thought I had was just that I couldn't stand that he said I couldn't figure out why the character would do this. It just felt like it just happened.
That seemed like the most Joker thing that could
Well,
happen.
not just that. There were 2 things, and one of them you hit right on the head, was that was kind of his mentality finally starting to shift. But that was also, he had blood on his hands, and his adrenaline was pumping, and he goes into that bathroom to kind of resolve what had just happened, where he just killed 3 people. And in my head, I immediately thought that he started dancing because that was the first bit of release he's ever had.
Right.
He never talked back to anybody. He never stood up for himself. He never fought back. And after years and a whole life of getting the shit kicked out of you and constantly, he finally stood up for himself, quote unquote, and he took care of these. He killed them. He killed all 3 of them. And so not only is he dealing with what just happened, but he's realizing that it was a complete release, and he felt good about it. So he started fucking dancing in the mirror and looking at himself as what he was. And I didn't feel it was random or out of place at all. I felt it completely matched exactly what I was feeling in the theater.
For as weird of a scene as it may seem, to me, I think it's one of the most iconic ones from the whole movie. But in retrospect, that was one of those kind of aspects I caught on to after seeing it in its entirety and then seeing it again. You'll notice after he did that, he didn't have any laughing fits, like zero. So, of course, after seeing it, when you see him later, when he's fully jokered up, you had even mentioned this before, he didn't really laugh at all. Like, it's like when he fully gave in to him, like, basically his mind slipping away, he didn't have any issues with it. I agree with you. What you said, though, you kind of wanted him to do it a little bit when he was the Joker. But I love that dynamic of Arthur Fleck, dude, because there's at least 4 scenes that, like you said, where he is fighting with all of his internal will to try to not do this, and you can just see the sadness, and externally he's just laughing his brain out. And I mean, Joaquin Phoenix, dude, he had a killer Joker laugh. He had like 4 different Joker laughs, honestly. The one where he's walking in the hall, everyone's gonna know which one I'm talking about, where he's walking down the hall and he's like, just laughing, just stops. That junk is like chilling, dude. It's crazy. By the way, if you've seen it, you'll either agree or you're dumb. The hype is real. That was he better win like a pile of awards. Like, say what you want about the movie, the plot, what you thought about it, but his performance, that's tangible. Like, that was incredible. That had to have been one of the best performances by an actor I've ever seen. But yeah, so let's just talk high level here. Like the plot, I thought the plot was pretty good. Like there's a twist, obviously, with Zazie Beetz. That's where they did like the whole Bruce Willis was dead the whole time.
I know I kept leaning into you like the whole time, just being like, she is so gorgeous. So the whole movie,
yeah,
even being like in the slums of Gotham, she's so pretty. I love her.
And yeah, she's not ugly. But so that kind of added to, like, to me, it's not like it was a huge surprising twist. Like, I don't want to say it was predictable, but like, we've seen stuff like that before. However, I think in this movie, it really helped build into him turning into the Joker. Because if you think about it,
you mean how they Fight Clubbed us?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, but if you think about it, she was kind of like one of the only good things in his life.
Right.
Like, everything else was garbage.
And it was imaginary.
Yeah, and she was super nice to him. He really enjoyed being with her, blah, blah, blah. Things are going well. And then, boom, whoops. Turns out we've never even met.
What I think this movie really deserves is eventually you and me will do a special episode where we don't do news or anything else, but we'll like really break this movie. We could probably talk for hours about.
Oh, yeah.
Like breaking things down and themes. I really want to see it again before we do that. But we sure could, and I think that'd be a really great special episode for us to do. Yeah,
that's why I was trying to limit it now too, because you're right. Like, it would turn into Pandora's box of just talk for days.
So what would you, if you, I want a number and a grade. If you could give it a grade and a number, what would you give it?
What I wrote in my notes, I gave it an 8.5 out of 10.
Really? Wow. Okay. I'm a 10 for personally. I need to see it again. But
probably actually change it to like an 8.9.
Ooh, I bumped the mic.
But once he gets to the part, so just real quick, the end, the climax of this movie, I felt made it all worth it.
Yes.
Whether you thought it wasn't good, whether you thought it was slow, whatever, the climax where it all comes together, that was incredible. Right. All the way from, spoiler alert, he blows away Robert De Niro on his David Letterman talk show, like on live television.
You get what you fucking deserve.
Yeah, and that was the one part, the first time I don't want to say it was cringeworthy, but I didn't know if I liked it the first time.
So powerful to me.
Well, just when he said, what do you get when you have a guy with mental illness and a society that treats him bad? And I was like... And I know it's all true, and I get it, but at first, like, I'm talking literally just dialogue. I was like,
no, but that's the thing. It was cringeworthy. It was
it kind of was.
So, but I think that worked
but
to the scene. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was supposed to be.
Because when he's getting louder, and Robert De Niro's like, "No, that's enough. No more jokes, Arthur. We're done. We're done. No more jokes." And you go, "You get what you fucking deserve," and he pops him in the chest. I nearly shit my pants, dude.
Shot him in the head.
Did he shoot him in the head?
Yeah, and then he shot him again.
Oh, I thought he got him in the chest twice.
No, he popped him in the head.
Regardless, he shot him.
Regardless.
That was really, and you know what I noticed? I don't know why I noticed this, but the two other guests, they stayed seated for a long time. Now I get they were probably in shock and afraid to like run for fear that he would shoot them or something, but he just like killed Robert De Niro's character.
Oh yeah.
And they just sat in those chairs like looking scared for a while.
The reason I love that, I mean, it wasn't a surprise. I think we all figured something was going to happen.
Right.
But throughout the movie, there's like two instances where he's practicing what he's going to do when he's on the show, and they always end with him killing himself. Because if you remember, it always ends with him putting the gun to his head.
Putting the gun to his mouth and stuff. Yeah.
And you're like, I'm not going to lie. I humored the idea for like a half second. I was like, is that how this is going to be a solo movie? Like, is he going to kill himself on live TV?
I think that was the charm of this movie, is that even though things weren't a surprise, there was still a weird surprise element to them.
Yeah,
you know?
And then that really drove home when he said, I used to, because I believe throughout the movie he really did want to kill himself.
Right.
And when he said, I used to think it was a tragedy, now I know it's a comedy. It's like when he finally gave in to Joker.
Right.
He was like, oh, I'm having too much fun. I'm not going to. It's kind of like when Heath was Joker and he said, oh, I'm not going to kill you.
What did he say? He's like, is it just me or is it getting crazier out there?
Yeah.
That's such a great line. I don't know if it was crazier or what, but that was a really, really great line. And again, that's something that I don't want to even dive into, that scene. But
yeah, to kind of close out, because again, I don't want to go off
right
too crazy on it. But when he did the blood smear smile, I literally had chills.
Yeah, like, fantastic.
I know that sounds cheesy, but it happened both times.
So I will tell you that, and I know that I'm the guy who never gets like truly disappointed. But to me, this was an A+ movie. And I'd give it, if I could, I can't not give it a 10. For me, this was a 10. And that's purely my own rating. I just really, nothing about this movie I didn't enjoy. I want to see it again so I can seriously overanalyze it, but I loved everything about this movie. And it really was my Joker.
Yep.
Even if it does turn out to be proto-Joker, that's my Joker.
To close, I thought the ending was fantastic. That was so Joker, that he was in the asylum and just kind of laughing, and the next thing you know, he murdered the doctor.
That scene of just him running back and forth.
Yeah, that
like
was hilarious.
Chased,
that made
was
the whole
fantastic.
movie. And then they did like a Looney Tunes style of the end.
Yeah.
Just that whole end sequence was magic. Like,
yeah.
Todd Phillips just killed it there, no pun intended. A couple things real fast. Do you think it was all real or was it a dream? I've read that theory and I think it has merit.
Again, that's one of those things I can get into for hours, but if I had to give just a simple answer, I would say it was real.
Because I just remember the first time it just stuck out like a sore thumb when he's talking to the doctor, and she says, when he's talking to her, and he says, I kind of miss when I was in the asylum.
Right.
And she's like, well, why were you in there? And he shows him beating his head on that same white room.
Right.
And he's just like, who knows? So, of course, people are like...
That was very funny, by the way.
Yeah.
When he said that, who knows?
So there were like 3 or 4 hilarious moments in this movie. That one where he runs into the sliding glass door when he makes his cool little walk away and he just slams into that glass door.
I almost felt that was super inappropriate.
Oh, it was so funny.
Just because
that's why it was so
very funny, but he had totally told these cops to fuck off.
Oh, and he was super baller about it too.
Right.
He flicked his cigarette.
And then he flicked his cigarette. He starts walking in, he just walks right into the sliding glass door.
He bashes into that door.
Oh, gosh.
And then, of course, my favorite scene of the whole movie, I call it Whiteface, where the small guy and the other guy, and he's just wearing the creepy white face. By far,
the best kill of that movie,
that was
by the way.
That part I told you
know
before,
what? That may be the best scene of the whole movie.
That was Joker.
Yeah.
Like, everything about it. Everything from about the uber violence to the way he killed him and lost it. Like, he completely lost it there for a second. All the way to he told the little guy, he said, I'm not going to hurt you. And he didn't. But then
as he's walking out the door,
him,
you were the only one who was ever nice to me.
They hit you with so much funny in one scene. Because he goes, I won't hurt you. And he walks by and he goes, blah.
When he had to ask him to come unlock the door for him, that killed me.
Yeah.
And he let him go. And that's great.
In both screenings, man, like the tension, you could feel it. Because you're like, he's going to kill this guy.
Right.
He has to. And then he, Arthur, can you get the door? And you're like, come on. And then he gets it, and then he closes it again, and he goes, you know what? And you're like, oh, here it is. He's going to kill him now. And then he just gives him a kiss on the head, like you said, tells him he was nice to him, and lets him go. And you're like, that's so Joker.
So great.
But yeah, no, great movie. Real fast, I just wanted to, because everybody loves this debate. Just of the three, Jack, Heath, and Joaquin, rank them for me. Your personal ones. You don't have to explain them. You can just say, here's my number one, and so on.
Well, I do want to explain just real quick. I don't think it's fair to compare Heath Ledger and Joaquin Phoenix, like in their performances. Two totally different animals. I can't say one was better than the other. However, my favorites going down the list is Joaquin, definitely, Heath, and then Jack. And to be honest, it might be Joaquin, Jack, Heath. I don't know.
Yeah, because I watched Batman the other day, and I was like, I forgot how good Jack was.
I also watched some scenes from Batman the other day and remembered why
He's so
like it's
good.
not a great movie.
And
Like,
so I set you up for failure here, so I have a twist to my answer.
it's Jack.
It's number one Joaquin, number one Heath, and number one Jack. Like that you can't compare them. It's
Yeah.
three completely
And
different versions.
I can totally appreciate and agree with that.
and they all knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
Like I'm not even gonna.
They're
talk
just so
about Leto,
different.
'cause
That's not fair. Somebody made a joke. I don't know if you saw on our podcast page. Somebody made a joke saying like you can't compare them. However, Joaquin Phoenix versus Leto's Joker. And I said yeah, Joaquin Phoenix.
I think if I'm being honest, when I told you, and I couldn't tell if it was because it was the newest one, but like when we left the movie, I was like, he is the best. When I say Joaquin, I was like, he
Yeah.
is the best live action Joker.
Do you know why I think Leto's Joker, even without all that other stuff, gets so much shit? It was the most generic Joker.
Yeah, but you got to remember too, he was also in a horrible movie.
No, I know that,
so-
but even like so far from the stuff we did see, there was nothing about it. Like Heath Ledger's performance is so signature and iconic.
Yep.
And same with Joaquin Phoenix's signature and iconic. And Leto's Joker felt like you're watching like one of the animated Suicide Squad movies. Like it just didn't feel like there was any merit to it beyond. Then again, we didn't get to see a lot of it, but
True that.
thank you so much, Matt. That was an awesome review. I definitely think that we should get into do a special episode where we get really in depth. If you guys do want that, we'll post up stuff on the Facebook page for you guys to say yes
Hell,
or
we
no.
could do episodes for each Joker.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Actually, I could
Have
do
like
that.
a Joker series.
Yeah, we kind of already did that when we did the "Is the Dark Knight trash or not?" But
Yeah. So
Well-
go easy on me, guys. I know that wasn't the best review, but I have to get my bearings and figure out how I'm going to do this.
also super late, and I'm sure both of us are pretty tired right now. That being said,
Yeah.
it was a great review, Matt,
Oh,
and there was
thanks.
nothing wrong with it. We also had no time to prepare, so it's okay. But yeah, we don't have much of the show left. I just want to real quick kind of entice you kids into my comic book corner. This is our new section, the Weekly Poll, where we are going to go over the books that are coming out this week and what I think you should look out for. And the first is through Marvel. We're going to go through Marvel real quick, and that is Absolute Carnage. Lethal Protectors #3 is coming out this week, kids. And that has been a crazy, amazing series. If you like Carnage, if you like the freakier, more adult kind of bloodbath-oriented stories, Absolute Carnage event by Donny Cates has been nuts. And Lethal Protectors has brought in faces like Luke Cage and Iron Fist and Missy Knight and a lot of them. And it's been kind of disgusting. People getting limbs ripped apart, their spines are ripped out, at least one spine ripped out of somebody per issue.
Oh, so it's Carnage.
Yeah, well, so the basic idea is Carnage, Cletus Cassidy's been dead, but he's back from the dead because he is hunting down every person who has ever worn a symbiote. Every hero, every person. Because the symbiote leaves something in your DNA called a codex. And the more he can collect, the more he can sacrifice to the symbiote god named Null. And once he has enough of that power, he can bring Null out of his imprisonment and bring him to Earth. That's why the
So-
tagline is God is coming.
So it's basically the Jet Li movie called The One.
Yes, it is the one, but really, really disgusting.
am Eula. I am nobody's bitch.
Next up for Marvel is Marauders #1. Jonathan Hickman's House of X and Powers of 10 series has finally come to a conclusion. Last week we got X-Men #1, which is the reboot of the X-Men in the Marvel Universe. Not so much a reboot, we're continuing with a lot of the history, but it's a great entrance point for people who weren't super into the X-Men before. It's definitely a great place to get in. And the Marauders, they're going to have books for the X-Men, the Marauders, Excalibur, New Mutants, and so on. I think there's going to be five titles total. But it's a really cool place to jump in if you want to get a little more into X-Men. Next up, we got Amazing Spider-Man number 32. Fuck if I know what's going on in that book, man. I read that every time it comes out, and it is it's just a mixed bag. Right now, they're dealing with a new villain called Kindred. And if you know, Kindred is German for brother, so or sibling or something. So we're pretty sure it is somebody related to Peter Parker. That being said, who knows? And then they have the Amazing Mary Jane number 1 coming out finally. And you know what? I'm going to read this book. You know why I don't really want to read this book? Because it's another Marvel cash grab, because DC put out a book started a few months ago called Lois Lane. And then Marvel was like, well, they can't have a fucking girlfriend comic book and not us. So they put out, so now they're putting out.
You got all worked up when they did the zombies thing too. I remember you're like, what?
Well, yeah, but again, DC's Deceased has been phenomenal so far. But I'm sure Marvel Zombies 2.0 or whatever they're going to call it's going to be great too. And then, of course, the Spider-Man Life Story, the trade paperback for that 6-issue miniseries is coming out. I can't stress this enough. If you didn't read Spider-Man Life Story, again, it's only 6 issues, but it was phenomenal. The premise is, what if Spider-Man started in the, when did he come out? In the 40s?
Sounds right.
What if he started, I think it starts in like the 60s or the 50s. I don't remember. But what if he started in the 60s and then aged with the time? So by the time we get to the 2010s, he's actually like a full-grown, like old man. You know what I mean? In today's time.
Oh, old man Peter.
The old man. So, you know, it's a really cool premise. He ages with the times. Has a lot of cool stuff with like the Vietnam War, moving into like not World War II, because that would have been prior. But
does he age like a normal person?
Yeah, in this book he kind of does. I think it is a little
delayed,
because he's still kicking in the 2010s. He's still fighting,
right?
But yeah, he's like an old dude. Super worth the read, and the trade paperbacks coming out. If I had to put a guess, it's probably going to be about $19.99, because usually for these kinds of series it's about $20. But yeah, I highly suggest it. DC Action Comics number 1016, dealing a lot with Event Leviathan. If you haven't been following up on Event Leviathan, that's actually something you should probably now wait to get into until it's over, because we're right at the apex. Batman Superman number 3. Man, there's back issues on shelves. Go to your comic book store. Batman Superman number 3 is dealing with the Shazam who laughs. He is the Shazam, the Billy Batson from the Dark Multiverse. He is super scary. The Batman who laughs was just put away into imprisonment from his last series, and but the last gift he left was he brought over a couple of infected superheroes. So we're gonna get Shazam who laughs. DC's The Infected. We're gonna get the Scarab, which is Blue Beetle, like a evil Blue Beetle. I think Hawkman, and there's gonna be a couple others. I can't remember, but
is Wonder Woman one of them?
No, not Wonder Woman. That being said, well, you know what? Maybe. I don't remember.
I thought I read something about that.
That being said, it's one of my favorite things going on. I love all of the dark multiverse stuff that came out of Dark Knight's Metal. Scott Snyder is truly a genius, and I love everything about him. Curse of the White Knight number 4. Batman White Knight, which we did a episode on for the show, for our comic book reading club. Batman White Knight was a book last year that the Joker, what if the Joker went sane? Curse of the White Knight is now dealing with the same universe. It's the sequel series, but it's dealing more with Azrael and the Order of Saint Dumas and the history of the Wayne family. Super amazing. Sean Murphy is writing, and he does all the artwork for it. And I got to tell you, it's one of my favorite things ever. I really enjoyed both series, and they are at number 4 of the sequel series. So go pick it up. Again, there are back issues on the shelves. If not, there's at least second printings out there.
Dude, I absolutely love Azrael, just in general.
But how'd you feel about White Knight?
Well, I think it grew on me. Like, the first time I read it, I was like, that's okay.
Really?
But then, like, after I kind of thought about it some more and then went over it again, I was like, this is pretty good.
Yeah, it's a complete Elseworlds tale. It really blew me away. And it was, I think, the first book in DC Black Label.
Yeah.
I think it was the first Black Label title. I don't know that for sure. But Year of the Villain, Black Adam is coming out. They also have the Year of the Villain event that's been going on with the Justice League comics. And they've been soloing Year of the Villain. 2 weeks ago, they had the Year of the Villain Joker one-shot. and it was written by John Carpenter, the legendary writer and composer of Halloween back in the day, and it was some of the absolute best Joker writing. I know that, again, I'm just fangirling over stuff, but it was truly some of the best. It made you feel like John Carpenter was not only a fan of the character, but really wanted to bring his horror roots into it because it was fun and there was a lot of lightheartedness, but kind of like that lightheartedness on top of disgusting, like, creepiness. I don't know how to explain it. It was that Joker that really enjoys doing the heinous things he does.
Right.
And I loved, it was such impressive Joker writing, almost probably as good as Tynion when he did Justice League number 13. That was a really great issue.
And to double down, you had mentioned Black Adam. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson did confirm today that the Black Adam film goes into production in July 2020.
Yes. And then, of course, you have some of the signature books, the main DC heroes like Flash, Red Hood, Wonder Woman, and Martian Manhunter all coming out this week as well. So it's a big week for DC. Some cool books coming out for Marvel. And not a whole lot. I follow a couple independent books coming out, but there's nothing really coming out this week that I am super interested. However, I always encourage people, if you're getting into comics, one of the easiest places to get in is independent books. Go to, look for Image Comics, look for Dark Horse, look for IDW, whatever you want. There's a lot of really great stuff out there. But that's all I got for this week's Weekly Pull. Matt, thank you so much for your Joker review. Thank you for being on the show once again, my faithful co-host. You got anything else for the people?
No, just to add to your segment here, guys, if you have anything that you're reading that you think is worth mentioning, please just share it with not only us, share it with everybody else on the page. I mean,
I'm going to start doing a, because I want to mention that, by the way, all of our podcast episodes are now on YouTube. This episode as well is going to be uploaded to YouTube. We are eventually going to start filming the podcast episodes, and we are going to start making our own original content for YouTube. And one of those videos that we're going to start doing for YouTube is going to be comic book related, especially pull issues, as well as what are we calling it, slabbed, for stuff that we think is important books throughout history that you really should read if you haven't read, that are worthy of being slabbed and graded.
Right.
So check out our YouTube page. It is the Bat in the Hat Podcast on YouTube. Check out our Facebook, Bat in the Hat Podcast on Facebook.
To recap now, wherever you're listening to right now is a great place to listen.
Yes.
But of course, you can see us, YouTube, Spotify,
we are
Apple
expanding.
Music, iTunes.
Yeah, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, stuff like that.
We got a big play of moves on the way, guys.
Please, some of you have been leaving reviews and leaving, even if it's 5 stars, don't be afraid to write a review. Just say something nice or tell us that we suck ass. Somebody...
or just say hi.
I don't remember what I was looking at, but it was a different podcast I was listening to, and they gave them 5 stars, but they said, you guys suck balls. And I was like, that's hilarious. At least they gave them 5 stars. Who cares?
Yeah, they always ask, why do you guys suck? But not why are you so sad? Just say hi.
Think,
we're people too.
Try to think of others.
Don't put us up on a pedestal.
But anyways, thank you guys so much again for listening. We will be back next week with another episode. And like Matt said, please feel free to hit us up on our social medias. Tell us what you think. Tell us what you want to talk about, and we will talk about it. But other than that, that's all I got, Matt.
Have a good week, everybody. Thanks for tuning in, and... bye.
Good night, Matt's mom.